Hi class, welcome to the first in a series of videos introducing you to Autodesk Fusion 360, which is a computer-aided design program. The goal of the video today is just to give you some really basic features and tools that will help you when using and designing on Autodesk Fusion 360. And the long-term goal of that is that then you can design and 3D print your own USB flash drive cover. So I've got an example of a flash drive design in Fusion 360 here, so you can see the flash drive there. And your long-term goal is to 3D print some covers and then add the electronics and test your design. So here's one design here that I've done already in Fusion 360. Here's another design as well with a lid. So I'll just hide that lid there so you can see the electronics. If I hide the electronics, you can see I've just left a cavity there that we can glue in the electronics. So we would 3D print this part here and the case there. And just another example of here of some of the things that we can do on Fusion 360. And this one's a bit more simple, just a one-piece design. And what you could see that we could 3D print this shape here. You might paint these colors in here and then add your electronics. Now remember, the goal was just to give you some basic tools today in how to start CAD modeling in Fusion 360. So we're not going to start you off with something really complicated like this one here. We're going to start you off on something a lot simpler. So we're going to do this one here. And as you can see, it's a very basic shape, but the reason we do this one here is it's not too much of a stretch of an imagination to see that that is really the basic shape of a flash drive cover. So if I look at this one here, we've got the text on the top and the cavity for the USB. With a bit of imagination, if you can build this shape here, I'm sure that you can then build up to doing something like this. So that's the first reason we're going to build this as our first Fusion CAD model. The second reason is I want you to look down here. This is what we call the timeline. And as you can see, it has all these features here, and this goes from start to finish of how I built this model. Each one of these is a step that I did from the start to the finish to build this. And if you look, there is only 8 steps here. So if you can master those 8 steps, you're well on your way to learning how to use the software. The great thing about the timeline is, just like Michael J. Fox and Back to the Future, I can go back in time myself and look at this. I'm just going through the model. If I get right to the end where I had nothing, I can press play and it will take you through all those steps that I did to create the model. So the first step we're going to learn is just to do this basic rectangle or cube to get us going. So up here is your basic file. So go File, New Design, and we've got different menus up here. We want the Create because we're going to start creating. And I'm just going to use a box. Now these shapes here, what we call primitive shapes, we can use these to start a model, but after that we'll use other features. So only use one of these primitive shapes to start your project. So I'm going to say box, and Fusion's saying, hey, where do you want to put that box? So I'm going to say, I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to draw the basic 2D shape of it. So I'm going to say about 75 that way. I've just typed in 75. This is millimeters, so that's 75 millimeters. And this way, no, it's probably a bit big. I'm going to go 50 millimeters. Okay. No, sorry, I've moved the mouse. Yep. And then I hit enter, and it creates my shape, but we're still got to tell it how high. So over here is the dialog box. 5 millimeters is a bit high for me, so I'm going to say 25 and hit enter. Beautiful. We've created our first shape. And if you look down here in the timeline, you can see that first step's already there. Now, the good thing about Fusion 360 and computer-aided design is you can always go back and edit your steps. So I'm going to just double click on this one here and go edit feature. And let's say I thought that was a little bit too high. Let's change it to 20. Enter. Excellent. So we've done our first step already.